Come and fly with me. 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 Fly with me. Fly with me. Come and 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 fly with me. Fly with me. Fly with me.
How's everybody doing out there in media world, Facebook world, socials, everybody out there? Thank you very much for joining me here at the Rick Naya Show, where we make it happen. I'm super excited today, and I'm very happy about last week's event as well with CryoCure and being able to share the love all over the country. And it's an amazing thing to see how a person like myself gets an opportunity with Disrupt America and to get a radio show and a podcast show that I can share industry leaders and industry professionals, vanguards and stalwart activists from around the nation and the world. And it's starting to dawn on me that it's really quite interesting to know that the blessings that have been bestowed me within the arena are beginning to come back and be shared again and again and again. And it's just such a blessing to have been chosen as a cannabis activist, to hear the calling. And I'm super excited about the news that we'll be sharing today. Again, I want to share our fans last week. Thank you for interacting. Thank you out there. Jeff Hoffman from The Toking Dead, one of our sponsors, is on now sharing love. And Dan Wufkowski, one of our biggest fans, he's out there sharing some love. But on top of it all, I always take a few minutes to thank my sponsors up front. It's called the cleanup. We clean up a little bit and thank everybody from last week. I want to thank my primary sponsors at Circle Signworks, American Machine Vision, Clearlight Technology, CryoCure, Kind Clean, Beantown, Greentown, Happy Hippie Chicks, my girlfriends at the Hippie Chicks Natural Solutions. I love you, Janet McAllister. Thank you for the heads up information today. I want to thank Kinesk, Tuhal. I want to thank you very much. Valhalla Laboratories, Holistic Hemp Solutions, Urban Acres, Love Java, the Harvest Cup, the Pheno Cup, Turptown Throwdown, Megan D, Masscan of Massachusetts, Normal Masscan. Thank you, everybody at Masscan. I love you guys. Thank you for all the work that you guys share with me and that we share with the community. And I want to take a huge, big thank you to Fisher Agencies and Melissa Faulkner. And if anybody needs any help with insurance, they're protecting working families of New England for years. And if you need any help, please contact Melissa. She's amazing. Or if you need any help with that, please reach out to me. And Rick Mosca from Mosca Seeds, thank you very much, all of you, for being part of my family, my friends, and being able to share the love. I also want to thank everybody for joining me again. Thank you for dialing in. Derek Quinton's here with us now. I want to thank the fans. Without fans and without leaving an impression in the community in our Canna arena, there's nothing to follow. People don't follow you if you're not setting an example and being held to the, no pun intended, highest standards of business and business practices. And in the cannabis arena, we don't have room for that shady monkey business. Our black market and gray market days are waning. Those of us that helped fundamentally establish that arena are now getting our footholds after the large billion-dollar corporations began it. And we're all getting an opportunity now to share some love with our networks. And as we all know, life is a huge network. And you establish those by meeting people and getting out there. Pretty much it's like grassroots handshakes. You've got to meet people to get your network alive and have people believe in you. And without further ado, this is a company that believes in me and believes in our community and believes in the awareness and the message that the Canna Arena brings to not only common sense policies, but to industries, and industries not only for lighting, but other forms of industry. And the three gentlemen that I have today that will be speaking with us are actual leaders in many different facets of industry as we know it in this day and age. And I'm blessed to be partners with them and a brand ambassador with Clear Light Technology and American Machine Vision. Thank you very much for being with me, Brian Sanders, Tony Hammond, and Fred Wright. Thank you, all three of you, for being here with me. Thank you very much.
Pleasure to be here, Rick.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, I typically, when I do a show, I have a single guest, but today we have three, and all, again, as I mentioned, are all specialized professionals in different industries. I'd like to begin with American Machine Vision and the founder and owner of Clearlight Technologies and the partnership. But I'd like to start with Brian Sanders. And Brian, those of you that can see if you're on a screen, Brian's the guy in the purple shirt in the lower left corner with the shades on, not the black ones with the purple shirt. That's Brian Sanders. Can you give us a wave, Brian, so we know who you are? There's my buddy, Brian. So anyway, Brian, again, I am very fortunate to have met you through my cannabis arena and associates within the arena.
Likewise, too.
Yeah, and or otherwise, right? But let's tune in on Brian. I mentioned you're the founder of American Machine Vision and Clearlight Technologies and chairmen of the boards and the whole hoopla. But let's talk a little bit about Brian. And Brian, like, where are you from? Where'd you go to school? Give us a little bit of a rundown, and I'll ask a couple more questions.
Basically, I'm a 39-year-old that has been probably involved in this for almost 60 years. And if you can figure that one out, that's a really starting early from Syracuse and working on our way up through engineering in many different fields. I spent most of my early time with defense contractors doing, private, what we would call basically secret, inventions and all kinds of devices that are used to protect the government and the country. And I think it's basically called direct energy or weapon systems. And it's something that you learn a lot because it basically combines many, many different types of sciences, astrophysics and physics. But photons were the thing that grabbed me early on. And that's one of the things that we used in our company later on. But the American Machine Vision is about a 22-year-old corporation, and it's gone under. It was a C corp, and then it became an LLC. But it's gone through many transitions into many different products, and all product development. And I can tell you some of the things were, I can jointly say that my partner, who happens to be my brother-in-law, has been involved with many of these programs and these projects because he's been with us a long, long time. But I'm talking about from designing skin that fits over artificial prosthetics to types of, I'm talking about artificial hands, so making the skin that fits over those and coming up with color matching capabilities so that pigmentation of skin can be, you can nail it, you measure the left hand to if you lost the right hand. And I had many relationships with people that, had artificial prosthetics, and they all gladly welcomed that technology happening. Nowadays, the young kids, the young engineers and young people in industry, they don't put sleeves on them. They like the mechanisms and they like all of the components to be shown, so they leave the skin clear, and it's kind of a, it's a macho thing. But that leading into getting into light was the main thing that it was not a stumbling block, but it was something that we thought we could go in and just slip in because we know all about photons and we know how to generate the energy and do all kinds of things. And I can honestly say that we probably put a good 7 or 8 years in the total aspect of developing our own emitters rather than to be using LEDs.
And I'd like to interrupt a little bit. I don't do it too often because I really like to listen.
No, please.
Go ahead. Going on and so forth. But, I make this comment to my guests many times while they're on, and there's three of you on tonight. So what triggered you to think that you could make an impact in our cannabis arena with clear light technologies? Could you answer that? That's a steep question. Listen, I'm looking at my screen and I have some serious players looking at this now, and I'm very proud to see them all here. Hi, Dirk Quinton. I want to thank you. Again, Michael Doobie's with us. There's Heather Marie Brown, our state's activist, and one of my dearest, staunchest cohorts and friends here in New Hampshire with the legalization efforts. The Misty Santos is on, and Colby Mahui is there. There's a lot of people here that are actual growers. And so I'm going to ask that trigger question. What triggered you to think you were going to come into our arena and go, let's do something positive?
Well, Fred and I were just talking about that, and basically, I just saw an image. My God, you've gotten brighter.
Now I can see myself. I couldn't see myself. I asked for lighting. So anyway, please answer the trigger question.
The trigger question is that we thought we were infallible, that all of the designs and all of the equipment that we had done in the past is pretty, it's pretty sophisticated. And these were companies that UltraBlend made automatic colorant dispensers that dispense microscopic amounts of colorant into formulations to make paint. And that sounds like a relatively easy thing, but.
So was it the paint because of spectrums and colors? Was that what drove you
into that's what, once that whetted your appetite and you find out exactly how to mix colors and that is, color matching is in itself a separate, that you could go on a sabbatical for several years.
Right. There's a science to colors and hues and paints and bases and so forth.
And it was tied definitely, and learning about not only color, temperature, but it's more than just being able to see between 400 and 700 nanometers in the visible spectrum.
All right, that's cool. But I need to hear the trigger word, man. Like my fans, they want to know the trigger, man. It's like, what caused you to think, forget about nanos and ohms and BPRs and BPLs right now. We need to know about you. What triggered you in our cannabis arena? Because again, I got to share this with all of you, the three of you.
But Fred,
there's a lot of people that are watching, and they want this kind of an answer from your company. So could you tell us what triggered you?
Approached
earlier. Yeah, Fred, we were talking about this this morning, and you nailed it because it was failure. We put everything into our first entry, a prototype, and it was going to, I'm going to let Fred describe it because we went through this.
we had come up with
Well,
an
let me
LED
introduce
design.
you, Fred. Let me introduce Fred
Sure.
Wright. I want everybody to know that Fred Wright is behind the designs and the build designs, and he's the actual manufacturing components, and he's the guy that helps get this all assembled and works on this special data. But let me let Fred share a little bit more about that. He's one of the partners at AMV and Clearlight Technologies. And again,
First of all, the sunglasses. I'm on a Rick Naya podcast. This is my 15 minutes of fame, man.
Right
I'm
on.
going Hollywood.
Right on. Man. We've got a lot of people watching.
And now I'm going to be able to see. There we go.
Okay.
I grew up about 30 miles from the Canadian border in New York State. After high school, I did 4 years in the Air Force, where I got introduced to electronics. And after that, I went to community college to get the degree so that everybody knew that I actually knew what I knew. And I worked in a lot of different things, consumer electronics and stuff like that. And then I went to work with Brian when they were doing Ultra Blend. And we've sort of been in and out of each other's back pockets ever since. Back in 2011, we were working on the Touch Bionics program, and we were in a little office that had these horrible fluorescent lights. They were humming like crazy and flickering like crazy, and 2 hours into the workday, I'd have a headache. And I said, well, let's switch them over to LEDs. And we did the investigation, and everything that was available, nobody liked. It was either too hot or not bright enough, or it failed. So we said, well, we'll do it ourselves. We came up with a design that turned out to be too expensive, but it did what we wanted it to do as far as lighting offices and parking lots. And then somebody approached us and said, is this bright enough to grow cannabis? Well, we'd already been using it to grow, herbs and tomatoes and stuff like that. So sure, it's just a plant, right? Man, you talk about walking into something as naive as a baby's bottom. I'm telling you, we got our heads handed to us on the first design, and rightly so. It sucked.
Numerous times, yes.
So I shelved the idea of a grow light, but Brian simply wouldn't let it go. He said, there's got to be a way to do it. And after a period of time, we would go back and we would look at the LEDs that are available on the market. And one day, about 2 years ago, I spotted one that had specifications that I had never seen before. And then I looked at the specifications, and it was not only available in a single color that are originally LED, but at different hues of white. And that made me think that we could do this. But I didn't want to do it the way everybody kept telling us to do it, because when we started talking about making this light, people kept sending us examples of other LED grow lights.
Yeah.
The problem is that every time somebody said this is the greatest light, I'd go to independent review sites, and 1 or 2 people would like it, and 8 or 9 people would hate it.
Yeah, it's funny. You get reviews, and what it is the first 3 to 5 of them are the owner's buddies' friends dialing in the best thing I ever, blah, 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 the revolutionizing and disrupting, blah, 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 blah. You see this, and then you hear you go, man, this shit worked for about 3 weeks, and it just didn't seem to want to keep growing. Or too much red, too much blue, too much of both.
It didn't save the electricity they said it was going to save.
And it didn't last as long. It didn't last or emit, or a fan went, or there was a problem with something internal.
Well, what I decided, Rick, is why would I want to design a light to compete with them when the king on the block is HID? Everybody who uses high pressure sodium grow lights is happy with their performance. If you're going to design an LED grow light, it's got to focus on performing the way those perform. And the grower we had dealt with first used a lot of these 600 watt high pressure sodiums. And I remember what the light looked like in his grow areas. And I said, that's what I got to do. And so we started building the prototypes until we had the output we wanted. And then we made a couple of color combinations of the white, sent it to Intertech for characterization. And when it came back, we knew we had the combination of warm and white that we needed to grow. And we built some prototypes, and we put them in the field with a couple of folks who had helped us out before and shot us down so easily. And they came back with happy people.
Happy.
So
It's right.
that's really how this all happened. We spent 5 years educating ourselves and
5 years.
making sure that we didn't crash and burn again.
5
And
years.
that's
And you
how
guys
the
have
light that I'm
invested
going to show you
yourselves.
later
So
came about.
let me ask, you know, spending 5 years doing anything, especially at the level of industry that you guys come from, you know, besides your tech and Air Force and Brian, you know, doing design, build, engineering, and inventing, basically invent, design, build of some extremely technologically advanced, and even for his day and age, still use technology that you've designed. Now, it's really quite something. And I want my fans to hear this out there because I got a lot of them out here. There's over 50 here chiming in on things. Um, these lights, okay, LEDs, and we people talk about what kind of spectrum, what kind of what kind of output, what kind of this, what kind of that. Um, we'll get to that, everybody. And I want to say to
Story in itself.
Fred,
It
yeah,
truly is.
Fred, thank you for sharing. You know, the trials of what it took to get 5 years to develop a light that's gotten what it has. And again, I want to share that detail, but I want to get over to Tony Hammond. Let's speak to Tony and, you know, find out where Tony comes in the business. And we know we have this serious worldwide inventor, an extremely talented, gifted, a veteran with the Air Force in technologies and light and sonar and all this other technology. And we have Tony Hammond. Hi, Tony. I want to welcome you to my show and as partners with the AMV and CLT group. Could you, you know, introduce yourself and share a little bit about yourself and what brought you into the fold and what is it that you're bringing to our arena and how you're elevating our arena?
Sure. Rick, first, let me say it's great to be here. I've always enjoyed our discussion since we first met. Can you guys see me okay, or do I need to turn the light on?
Nope,
No,
you
you're
look
fine.
Huh, you look good.
The floor is starting to wane here, so if it gets too dark, I'll turn my lights on. I actually got involved. My background is nuclear engineering in the Navy for 10 years. And then as an actuary after that, I was looking for something to do because I knew the nuclear field was not a good place to be back when I was in it. And figured out that actuarial work was very similar, used a lot of the same skills. And so the last 20 years, I was a VP at a large insurance company. And one of my actuarial students, who's a friend of the family that was friends with Brian and Fred and has been an investor in the company, asked me to take a look at this and asked me if I would be interested in doing something more when I retired, which I retired about a year ago. And so I got to meet these guys, and the more we talked, the more I found that they had, first of all, a great idea. I was a farm boy from Ohio. I loved the idea of grow lights and working with that. And we're actually putting a test lab here on my farm in Louisville to test all their lights and go through all the different iterations. We've had some real growers test them. Now we're going to have see how I can mess that up by being a neophyte trying to do. And I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot over the next.
Goodbye.
Well, I can surely share one thing.
But I'll have good lights. You know, I've got one thing that a lot of other people don't have is I've got good LED.
Well, we went through it. Now it's your turn.
Yeah, exactly. So they did the hard work. They came up with the light. Now I got to make it work. So so I got interested, and I have a lot of financial background and things like that. So I've been helping them out on that side as well as trying to put my 2 cents worth in on some of the engineering and testing side. And we're going to run the test lab here in Louisville.
Excellent. So not only, you know, this is a USA made product, 100% built in the USA, assembled in New Hampshire, of all places.
Rick, the building 4, we walked through it last week, and we're going from building 3, which is a small office complex. We're going 200 feet across some macadam to a building that will produce this and all generations beyond it of just the same type of lighting. The
Okay.
very same type of.
Let me share with the fans that Clearlight Technologies, it's a division thereof of American Machine Vision, which invented the ink squirting mechanisms for paints. So when you buy paint, you go into Sherwin-Williams or Home Depot, these machines that do all the ink and shake and do all the whole thing for your paints. This company, American Machine Visions, are inventors and experts in that type of technology and advancements in the technology. And these three gentlemen, the two on the bottom, Tony on the right and Brian on the left of my screen. The purple is Brian. The guy in the white beige shirt with stripes on the bottom is Tony. Or Fred, I'm sorry, and those two gentlemen invented light. But what they did, guys, is they did a research, and they researched a lot of information about other companies that are out there from HPS and LEDs. And the information that I've gathered is by studying the poles and the BOLs and the ohms of lights on a graph, there's a bell curve that goes almost vertical. It's like a bell that goes up and down, but everything else on the screen is a rainbow. So the bell curve goes up and down like this, but their curve starts way over here and goes way up here. It runs all the way across the top and then it way out on the red. You guys have to see it for yourselves. They'll be on a website. We'll share that information later. But again, Tony, what is it that you're bringing to our arena? I say our arena because a lot of people come and go. Lights are a big part of the cannabis culture and arena. There's a lot of industry out there that works within it, and a lot of people have come and gone with different forms of lights. Can you tell us, Tony, what is it that distinguishes this light for you or this particular opportunity with you and Clearlight Technology? What differentiates this from other lights that are out there? Can you share that?
Well, as again, I've made it clear I'm new to this, so I'm not going to pretend to know even a fraction of what you know as a breeder and what I'm sure a lot of your viewers know and have known for many years. But as I've learned about this, I'm a smart guy. I'm an actuary. I'm an engineer. I can figure some things out. And when I started researching this and started looking at where the lighting industry was, these guys were telling me things, but then I went to look at it, and one thing that became very clear was there was no single light out there that could take you through in a 13-week cycle from the first week of getting your clones or your seedlings going to the month of veg to the first month of your flower stage and your second month of your flower stage, and basically do it all. So I talked with Fred and I talked with Brian, and we all kind of had those discussions with you, with other growers, Jeff, Alan. We had all these discussions and said, we really need a light, and Fred had the concept that has the same spectrum as high pressure sodium, but we kind of took it a step farther and said, in our LED lights, can we get that far red spectrum to be just a little, tweak it just a little bit more. So when you get into the flower stage, and it can even help during the veg stage, get it all the way through so that it does get that flat profile, not just from the 400 to 700, but up into the little bit of 750 in that, so that you really get that extra veg kicker.
Well, that's something that a lot of us, and I want to share a little, and I'll these are friends of mine, everybody. I've become friends with these people, and I've educated a little bit more about light technologies while being with them. And they are in the process, as they said. This was design build. We've been working together, working on designing, and working with Fred and Brian to come up with a spectrum that really works on full power high, but doesn't burn out in 6-9 months or a year. And I got to replace $150, $75, $300 bulb. And then, the time down, or just the shit that can happen with these high pressure bulbs. They can explode, they can cause fires, there can be overheating problems. There are issues that occur. And many of my growers and friends that are watching, they know this. Because we grow in tents, we grow down in our basements, we grow covertly, so we have to be very safe. And I think it's very interesting to be able to share with everybody that this particular light, you can put your hand on it, it doesn't even get hot. It gets warm, but it's not like it doesn't burn your hand and give you blisters. It's that hot. It's just it runs extremely cool. It's not only does it run cool, it runs extremely efficiently from 13 to what was it, 24 years on full power.
No, but
According to the manufacturer, they publish greater than 60,000 hours life.
How many
And
hours was that?
60,000, they
60,000
publish
hours.
greater than 60,000 hours.
Okay, so I want everybody out there to hear what was just said. And
That's
please,
not it.
if my guests are listening, it's time for you to start sharing my show with some of your professional growers and some of your professional brothers in the racket, because there isn't, and I'll say this again, there is not a light that's available that can produce up to 60,000 hours on full power.
That's the published number.
Published,
The
yeah.
actual LM80 numbers are over 140,000 hours. So you've got a light that is going to operate long after I'm dust.
Yeah, let's put it in context. I'm going to put the lights in the grow barn that we're building here, and I'm never going to change a light bulb.
You'll never ever. Okay, did you guys hear that, everybody? Are you people? Look at all these people listening. Derek Quinton, give me a question. Joe Volan's another one that's out there that that really can share this love. Kevin Joel Kerr with Kind Clean and Sensi Magazine and my family all through that lineage. People need to understand what 140,000 hours equates to. I don't think people understand what that means.
Well, there's 8,600 hours, a little more than 8,600 hours in a year. So
that's a 16 and a
if
half.
you've got, yeah.
That's an easy multiplication.
Okay, so okay, again, I mentioned and I said a couple of words a little earlier about an industry and what happens in our arena. If something disrupts it, it revolutionizes something. It makes a change for the better. It makes a change not only for the consumer, the grower, the overhead, their cost expenses, but it leaves a better footprint. It's green. It's greener. It's a much longer lived form of light. And cannabis understands that, and these spectrums. I was looking at the report, one of the data sheets that I have, and we were talking about lumens outputs and photo flux. Could you give us a breakdown, Fred, as to lumens output? It says 22,000 lumens at full spectrum. Let's run this down. Tell us what that's all about.
The unit pulls less than 230 watts. It'll operate anywhere from on 120 to 277 volts.
Did they hear that, everybody? 120 to 277. That means you can plug it in the United States,
the plug.
anywhere in the world. You can run this product.
And
Which we're planning.
the lumen output is better than 22,000 lumens for the light.
Okay,
And
time out.
got-
Here's one of my questions, Fred, because I got people that are going to be like that. All right, so we're saying it's 2,200 lumens compared to
No, 22,000.
I'm sorry, 22,000 compared to a standard 600 HPS. How many lumens are they going to produce?
Probably a bit more than that. The problem is that they don't go into the red nearly far enough. And it's the effectiveness of the color that's just as important, if not more than important, than the intensity of the light. If
Can
you've got a
everybody
light,
hear that? Everybody needs to understand what this means. This is real science out here, people. This isn't just, we're talking about lights and blase. This is an extremely important form of information for people that want to put their test lumens or bowls or meters underneath the lights to see what they're producing. But these lights do this for 16 and a half years.
15.
One of the things we were looking at was these red and blue LED lights. And the more we learned about how the plants use the light, we realized that LEDs when they're designed for a particular part of the color spectrum, are relatively narrow. So when you've got a blue light and a red light in a fixture, and you're running these things at their maximum current capability, because that's the only way you can get enough intensity to make them work, you're forcing the plant to use the light you're giving it.
You're giving it. Yeah.
And it just, it's forcing the plant to do something that it may not be able to produce for you under that light. When you use a properly designed full spectrum light, you're offering the plant all of the light spectrum that it could possibly want, and then it just uses what it wants. And the plant's much happier there, it's not stressed, and it just performs. And a happy plant produces big buds.
Well, that's what's important. And I think that was what we were trying to evaluate.
I don't care if you're playing Beethoven, Run DMC, or Whitesnake. If your plants like the music, they're going to love the light.
Well, I'm glad you put it that way. I have some people talking out here now. They're kind of astonished. So it comes pre-wired, either 220 or 110. So
it's supplied with a plug that'll plug into a standard 120 volt outlet, but the plug's removable. You can wire in a NEMA 615, which is a standard for 208 volts, or you can wire it directly into a box into a 277 volt feed from your service line.
Right.
So
can we talk about
the power supplies adjust to the input voltage automatically.
Okay, repeat that one more time.
All right. The power supplies will adjust automatically to the input voltage. They don't care where it comes from.
That's it. Hold on. Did everybody hear that, man? And I hope that they understand. You guys out there, hope you understand. I have a question. Are they dimmable? But I would never dim a light, because I know that more light, excess light, can never be enough for a plant, because we'll never duplicate the sun. So a dimmable, no need for dimming anything. If anything, control your lights with your automation system to do your controlling. No need to dim your lights. You always want those things on full blast at the full max of spectrums. Let's get back to photosthenic photo flux, 320 U moles. Talk to us about that.
Well, we actually didn't know it was going to do that until Intertech told us it would do it. I mean, we were hoping for something in those numbers.
Bonus.
And when we sent 2 lights that had 4 different configurations to test. It was almost shooting from the hip, and we were just hoping that we were going to beat that 300 micromole number, and we blew it away with 340. It was just icing on the cake when we got the reports back from ETL.
Well, that's an astounding number, because I hear a lot of people talking about U-moles and testing them with their little, those tools they put underneath their lights to go see if they're producing. What people don't understand is there isn't an LED light that can do this, and they're out there testing high pressure sodiums, and it's basically like saying that's 3 forms of different light there, and if we're able to produce that with an LED and supersede that spectrum that's available, then what does that mean? That we have something that's disruptive and revolutionary.
Oh, agreed. Plus, you get better canopy penetration, in my opinion.
Well, I can assure that, because I did test them with Jeff, and we were both.
You see, a high pressure sodium bulb being a single source, a center point source, your canopy penetration is going to be restricted, because it's all coming in that cone. Yeah. Our light is 13 inches by 34 inches. The LEDs are spread over that whole area. And if you've got a fan moving in the air like you should, all kinds of leaves are going to hit that light, or going to be hit by that light over the course of the day. And it's simply going to improve the reaction of that plant. It's going to go just straight up to that light.
I want to say that we took a light. Typically you hang your light like this, right? Mm-hmm. Of course, you hang them from the ceiling and they hang this way. Well, we had a very small unit to grow in, and we took the light and turned it on its side, sideways, to be. Yeah. It was sideways, vertical. We didn't hang it. It was this way.
Yeah.
We could not believe the type of penetration we had. The plants were growing vertical. They weren't growing towards the light. They continued growing vertically. We'd never seen that
That's,
before.
but that is what plants, that's how they, I mean, good growers, we're finding out these little idiosyncrasies that all these little tricks that these growers have. And the slightest twisting of these young branches, immediately respond to that frequency that we're putting in. And I'm just trying to make it sound in a much more simplified version. What we've done is we've created, it's a palette, like an artist palette, that we can create any color frequency to attain what the plants need. But here's the bottom line. Who helped us tremendously, and I'm not talking about UL, I'm talking about ETL, and a guy named Andrew Hyatt, who in Cortland, New York, brought us down there and gave us the 300,000 square foot facility, gave us a full walkthrough, and showed us the rooms where they'd be testing it and all of the tests that are set up specifically for these types. And horticulture has been just adapted. So why would we go anywhere else when these guys are telling us that the best part of it is some instrument companies that I worked with when I was in a proprietary business? These were very fine instruments, and these were spectrophotometers, goniometers. And now it's amazing that ETL, who I love, 3,000 labs all over the world, now are using goniometers to measure this source, this color source. And they were the ones that nailed it. And not only did they nail it when we got the initial, before we even went to get the mark, the ETL mark, which we wouldn't sell a product that didn't have that on, not UL, ETL.
The ETL.
The ETL is the future. And before we even got to the point where we could get to mark, we put 4 units through. This was Fred's idea. 4 units of variable, just variable setups to be measured under this instrument. And that was all we needed. By those combinations, when you put those together, also, at that same time, the gentleman in the white shirt at 3:30 in the morning calls me. He had just gotten through talking to a professor at the University of Utah that came up with the exact same thing, the exact same phenomenon about the reds. And that information that he had at 3:30 in the morning was not only verified with these instruments that are now being used as standardized units now. That allows us to keep our proprietary methodologies, but tested to the fullest, so like we can fine tune. Cannabis is a bear. Cannabis is a nasty plant. It doesn't tell you anything of what it really is. It's a secret. It's an amazing plant. It's a miracle plant, and it has many, many things. You talked to me about a long time ago about some of the characteristics of cannabis, and that got us on the. We're going to lick this, and we did. I mean,
that's exactly what it was, Rick. It was a challenge, and we just couldn't pass it up.
I think it's really quite something, for me, challenges I have faced my entire life. I am a minority, so I don't look it, but I am Cuban, and growing up in South Florida was a little bit different down there. So I kind of understand that, but to sit there, the two of you, and dig deep, like in analogs of lighting industries, we have so many lights and bulbs that are out there for years. I mean, who's Johnny come lately showing up now? And I've been asked to hold back, and I have yet to unleash my full onslaught of a disruptive and revolutionary form of lighting that I'm able to help say I can contribute to and contributed to, and will continue to contribute to. The form of technology that's placed in this light in our digital and technological age was missed. And it took 2 brilliant engineers to dial in something that everybody was overlooking.
Rick, I'm not going to be able to get my head out the door. You keep talking.
No, I gotta say,
cut that crap out.
you guys have to understand something. I'm not going to a brand ambassador, anything, if I don't believe and have my hands wrapped around it and know it for a fact, because my voice in the cannabis arena is far and wide. And people listen to me and they ask for my consultations, they ask for advice. And I appreciate giving it when it's warranted and due. My good fortune is that I was brought an opportunity by you through some dealings of my own in the arena, and you guys happened to just happenstance across me and found out that he's the what? The great grandfather of hybrid cannabis. He's been growing cannabis for over 40 years indoors.
It's amazing. You must have started as an infant.
You guys were an internship, but what happened was that the internship was all mutual through your 5 years of advanced research and knowledge with lights and the determination and perseverance. I always say the 5 Ps: patient, professional, persistence produces profits. So if we're patient and professional and we're persistent, we will produce profits. So
I'm going to be on. I'll be honest with you, Rick. I'm one of those guys that drank the Kool-Aid back in the day, and I thought the gateway drug and all of this crap.
Ooh.
And then I started seeing for myself what medical marijuana was actually doing for people, and I realized I needed to pull my head out of my colon and get with the program. And that's really why I'm doing this.
I'm glad that you say it that way, because my guests, you say it that way, Fred, but my guests, they're all industry individuals, most of them. I do get people like on the show tonight that are going to want to know that perhaps aren't, cannabis related individuals, but support peripheral industries within our arena. It's really quite something, because my sponsors and all of the people who have chosen to help and support me and on the banners, and you see the names flying across the streams there. Those are the people that are going to help bring this type of disruptive technology forward, as I do with CryoCure and KindClean, and Kinesk. These are out there going people, Fisher Agencies and Melissa, ensuring industry. It's positive people like yourselves who see technology and want to decipher it, not reverse engineer it, but to understand it properly.
Right.
And try to find out, like Brian told me, he goes, Rick, we had to find out what everybody wasn't looking at. That took years of practice, breaking, getting angry or frustrated. How are we going to, how many people and hundreds of thousands of people at conventions that you have to talk to before a light bulb goes on and you go, oh, they didn't do this. Let's broaden the spectrum on a higher, fuller level with a light that lasts 16 and a half years.
Well, Rick, that's actually a very big. Anybody can build a light that'll burn out in 72 days and produce a whole lot of light and whatever. But there was one other piece to what Fred was trying to do and Brian was trying to do, and that was to build a light that wasn't going to burn out in 72 days, that would be here today, tomorrow, and when we're all gone. That was a big part of what Fred was trying to do. And so while these other LED manufacturers may produce a light that produces a whole bunch of, takes a whole bunch of power and produces a whole bunch of heat along with power, because of that, they burn out quicker. And what Fred wanted to do was make sure that he wasn't putting it at 100% of power so that these things would last longer. And that's why we actually had created a whole discussion about cool LEDs, with the double entendre. But it really is what makes it last. It's a product that's going to be here for a long time. And everything has problems. There could be a failure here or there, but they're modular. If and when that were to happen, it can be easily just pulled out and replaced, almost as easy as a light bulb. It doesn't screw in or whatever, but they are modular, so that can happen. So it's really there for a long time, and it's also there if you need something to be fixed.
I think what's really cool out in this, I call it an arena, and a lot of people are going to arena. It's not a football arena or a soccer arena or a music arena. Cannabis touches every industry that we know. Every facet of every industry has an individual or a player or a CEO or a CFO, finance. Somebody is involved or been touched by either medicinal, recreational, and decriminalized cannabis in this day and age. If it hasn't, I feel sorry for you because you're either part of the equation that causes a problem or you just haven't been educated properly and you believe, like Tony and I used to. I'm born on the 4th of July. Go USA. I believe in it all. And I believe and I believe and I believe until I just couldn't believe this anymore. It's kind of like this science and technology. I couldn't believe it at first. I was like, this is BS. I see those stupid little red lights and blue lights and all these little LED systems in our tents. Now in our arena, we have tents. We have these, 6 foot, 4 foot tents that we grow in and so forth. And then when we saw the light, it was like, wow, this thing covers the whole tent. But let's see if the lights are going to start trailing and the plants are going to start going to the center like they do with our HPS bulbs. They always go to the center of the bulb. They're looking for the middle of where the most intense form of light.
They're looking for that dot.
They can't
They're
find
looking for the
center.
dot. They're looking
Yep.
for the dot. So with
They
our
can't
light,
find it now.
we have what, 5 arrays? I can't even tell you how many goddamn dots are in it, but I'll tell you one thing. The whole tent went vertical. Every corner, every bud, every square inch had
Nice and-
coverage. I hadn't seen that
Nice
yet
solid.
in 40 years. I haven't seen that in 40 years of growing under my metal halides, my HPSs, and combination CMFs. I've done every combination of lighting that it was available. If not, I invented it. I said, add this bulb and we'll add this and we'll do. I've done everything to try to get spectrums dialed in so nicely. And again, it's disruptive. It's revolutionary, not only for the growing at home and for industrial grow, but for industries.
It's now obtainable.
It's obtainable
everywhere.
now for hospitals, gymnasiums, auto repair shops, paint shops, Walmarts. Huge industry is going to start looking at this light like, time out. What did you say? Well, yeah, that's what we're trying to tell you. Why are you going to spend $1 million on lights when you can spend this much money and you're going to save 2/3 on your power bill and you will never have to go up there and change the bulbs and pay your maintenance people all that exuberant money and insurance
That's
and all those
another-
added costs?
It's another
Light.
incredible, valid
It's an
point.
incredible, disruptive, revolutionary form of light for industries. I'm just so fortunate to know that it's part of my cannabis arena now. And I'm excited. Look, my page is going kind of crazy. There's a lot of people on there sharing love and conversations. We've had well over 100 messages and communications, and I have not stopped to go look at the other sites. I'm so entertained by this conversation. Disruptive and revolutionary lighting by
You're talking about the lights, but I owned a medical center for almost 10 years. It's not just the light, it's the heat load. And our 2 biggest costs were the electricity for both of those things. And if you've reduced your energy going into the light and you've got more efficient lights than the HID lights, you're producing a fraction of the heat load as well. And our air conditioning bill was huge every year. And in the indoor grow facilities, this is going to be a huge addition too. I've put in enough air conditioning probably to handle high pressure soda if I had it out there, but I don't expect to use it. And I've got enough solar panels on top that it's not going to cost me anything for electricity the way we've got everything figured out.
Yeah, I call it synchronicity within the automated functions of the grow industry. It's so disruptive that I want to share. I mentioned earlier that I was going to share a little information about some of the things that I've been working on, and I mentioned to my fans this evening that I had some huge news coming, and it's huge for me, for our arena, and for cannabis itself. These lights are disruptive. They're revolutionarily will change the way people start buying lights, and I wanted to take time to say that after these last several years, Clear Light Technologies has now gone to the next phase. These studies and these evaluations and the process by which they went through to build the lights to get them to me and to get them to a few of the other growers was truly a blessing in disguise. It was a gift. So what they've done, and I want everybody to know that the lights are yet to be available online. We do have a website that's being advanced now. You can go and check it out, but you're not going to be able to see to be able to purchase the light as of yet. But when it does become available, I'm sure that we're going to offer another show, and we'll offer a promo code for your average home grower, and we'll discuss larger opportunities with some of my large cultivators.
I definitely want to make sure that Naya Nation knows where we are with this. We've done the prototypes, we've done the beta run. We're in the process of doing the second 50 of the beta run, which is going to finalize the procedures that I will create for training assemblers. And at the same time, we're looking to move into the new facility. They're going to put flooring in there, but there's an area where I can set up and start producing right away. And I got a half a dozen guys just waiting to get going.
Chomping at the bit.
You know, they're just chomping at the bit. One of them happens to be my grandson. Yes, patronage is alive and well in this. And our focus is to be able to start full production by mid to late July and start shipping by the end of July, early August. I don't want to commit to anything earlier than that because I don't want people to, start placing orders and then being told that it's 8 weeks down the road.
I have to share
that.
The last thing we want.
But we're doing this step
I
by
understand
step.
that, and I want everybody out there to know something too. We're bringing AMV Clear Light Technologies to the home front, my arena, our arena, and I'm welcoming you guys into this arena yet. We haven't. This is not a kickoff. Brian's a friend, and Fred's a friend, and so is Tony. And I thought, let's kick this off for you guys, and let's get some initial feel for this. Well, we've had hundreds of people on the page already, which is the media thing even gives you these little balloons. Hey, you've reached this milestone. Oh, you reached this milestone. Wow, we're reaching milestones because people are listening. But what's important to know is that these lights are going into production in the next couple of weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. The building's getting set. These guys are going to be able to, but I'm going to do another show so that we can make a big national kickdown to let everybody know that, hey, home growers, industry alike, give us a call, get a quote, use my promo for the personal indoor grows. For the larger grows, you can contact Brian, Fred, or Tony, or myself, and we'll get you into the right hands in the right direction.
And we're going to make sure that there's units on the shelf so we can ship within 24 hours so that nobody's going to be upset.
Yeah.
And that's what my people like. A lot of my people, there's a lot of cool people out there, and people have to understand something. The coolest people out there are our age group, 50 to 70. Those are the people who are consuming more cannabis and doing more with cannabis in the entire arena. It's kind of funny to say, but why? Because we can afford a light. We can afford to keep it private. We're quiet already. We've already been down the game road. We don't need to showboat. We're just out there to understand cannabis and how it's affecting us. Like Tony, you didn't know anything about it until just a few years ago. You're like, that's out. And imagine, Tony, that's completely out of the question.
No, I started taking CBD.
So we don't have to consume cannabis to be part of a peripheral or ancillary portion of our arena. And that's why my trigger questions were like, well, what triggered you? And you guys, it's hard for people like you guys to answer what that means. A real trigger would be like, hey, dude, what made you an activist? I don't know, man. A higher power called me in my soul and drove me down there and told me I must fight for cannabis for the common everyday citizen. That was my trigger. Something spoke to me that said I had to do this for cannabis. That's why I'm so passionate about cannabis, and I'm recognized for this kind of passion to bring industry and bridge the community with this data, with this science, with this knowledge, so we can advance this revolutionary stuff to the world. The impact that it has alone on green, Tony was talking about that. When you have, let's say, and I'm going to put a number out there, I have 100 HPS lights running in a facility, and I'm looking at a $7,500 a month electric bill. Then comes along a guy that says, hey, I can produce as much as probably not a little bit more cannabis on your ROO, ROI. And people are like, well, what's an ROO? Well, that's return of oil. But the ROI is important to look at too, because my investments need to be not only capitalized on, but they need to be paid off. And then my overhead, my insurances, my employees, my staff, so much goes on to owning a business. And most people, oh yeah, man, but they don't understand. In the cannabis arena, we're held to the extremely, again, no pun intended, the highest level of standards of business practices. So by coming in with a light like this and being able to help distribute it and get it into the hands of the people that can make this green footprint change in our arena is going to help not only us, but help save our nation, our costs, and bring costs down on this footprint that the cannabis industry has. It's quite large indoor grows, and I'm in belief that we as citizens and humanity need to try to do as much as we can to curb our mad consumption of power. So these lights do that because you're not consuming as much. That means your air conditioner's not going on all the time. Your fans aren't blowing in the need to. Your heaters aren't going on all the time. So it's really bringing your overall cost of operating and returning your profits back that much quicker. So again, revolutionary, disruptive form of lighting at Clear Light Technology. Go ahead, Brian.
I have one thing that I want to add. It totally flows with what you're talking about. And I'm going to go back. I'm dialing back a little bit. Dial in, think about Katrina and New Orleans. And at that time, we had 7 pieces of equipment, 7 automatic colorant dispensers that we had just installed in a chain of Benjamin Moore stores all over the greater New Orleans area. When that damn storm came in, everywhere flooded, the walls, everything broke loose. We wound up with stores that were underwater, and we wound up with equipment, our brand new equipment, underwater, and water up to almost the top of where the canisters hold the colorant. Just a, my God, thank you. God is just, he knew that was the limit. After the storm had passed, 4 or 5 days had passed, the owner of the company contacted me, and he says, I've moved the units out in the yard. I opened them all up, and I'm trying to drive out. And he says, what should we do? I said, well, first of all, plug it in. He said, you're crazy. And I says, no, just plug it in. See if she plugs it in. I said, you got a green light. Okay, you got a green light. Okay. Hit the next button. Start. It started. We lost 2 stepper motors out of 16 because the oxidation from the salt and brackish water got into one of the, these, and stepper motors are not cheap. They're expensive and they're complex. But anyway, 2 out of the 16 canisters were the only ones, and they squeaked a little bit. He turns around and he says, it pumps, the pumps are working. He said, because it was just left out to sit out in the sun to dry out, because you obviously there's no, and they were draining the water out of it, and it was, you can imagine salt water in these.
Oh yeah.
The guy went crazy over it. They kept the units, they refurbed the units, they cleaned the units. We replaced 2 motors, I think, and it was maybe a solenoid valve. But they went online 2 weeks later, just as if nothing happened. And every other paint company, every other paint store, including Sherwin-Williams at the time, because they didn't buy our equipment. These were bought by Benjamin Moore. And so Benjamin Moore is doing this while everybody
lost all their equipment and couldn't refurbish them because they didn't have state-of-the-art
or built to last. Our lights are built to last. I mean, we put thicker paint. We use powder coated paint, but we use thicker coats of it because it has to last for a long time, and it can be under any kind of condition.
Yeah, that's something I want to say. It wasn't like a normal hood. You touched it, and it felt like a good heavy baked powder coated enamel all over it.
It had to be, but the weight of it, 10 pounds.
10 pounds. That's something else I want to
picked
tell
up
everybody.
a brand X. I almost mentioned it. I picked up when it was 42 pounds. You put 4 of those on a beam or any kind of a support, the beam will sag and it'll probably collapse.
Yeah, your bar will
10
bend
pounds.
like this. It bends with the lights down it because it's too heavy to hold.
Every aspect of this design for this light is made.
Well, I want to share that I did initially, as you know, I took 10 of the lights. I set them up into a trailer. I prepared it. I built the trailer out to do a test run. And the performance and the room, as everybody could see nationally, there was a tremendous amount. There was a surge of questions on that. But I want to let everybody know that here very soon, we're going to be able to do a full rundown on a grow, where I will be putting in video cameras and we'll be doing videos of the room, of the grows. We'll be showing you the lights, the output, the production. And I will be naming the names of the facility and the team that I'll be with and who I'm brand ambassadoring in the future here. In the next couple of days, I believe I'm going to be able to share some extreme arena-changing news. And I can't wait to bring our light technology into the fold. I was asked by one of the biggest facility manufacturers in the world today to send me our light specs, and I said I'd be delighted to. And I know when he sees,
would you like Rick? Would you like your viewers to see one of these lights? I don't know.
Break it out. Grab one, man.
I got one on a chair right behind me.
No, come on. This is the Rick Naya show. This is live. If you guys want to smoke cannabis, you can do that. Just no sexual acts.
I've got your glasses here.
This is the light.
Yeah, check out the lights that these guys, look at the lights, everybody.
The LED modules.
Look at the array. I want everybody to look at this. Derek, Dan, look at these lights, guys. Alan, look at these people that are out here. Everybody that's on here. Heather, everybody out.
I'm handling this thing. It only weighs 10 pounds.
Robert Gannon.
Power supplies are under this cover.
Pick it up a little higher. Okay, now turn it. Now turn it to the other side, the top. That's what the top of the light looks, guys, like. That's it. That's it. Weighs 10 pounds. You can bring that all the way to the ceiling. You can actually bring that within 3 inches of a ceiling. You can't do that with any other light. These things are incredible. I can't even begin to tell you.
I actually have designed a new hanging bracket, Rick, that actually allows this thing to be within 1/4 of an inch of a surface because there's no danger of heat or fire or anything like that. Yeah. So you can mount this flat to a surface if you wanted to.
Did everybody hear that? This is the kind of light, like if you're in your tent and you're growing in a tent, and you know what it's like having the hood, and then you've got your extraction tubes and your fans and all. Hey guys, you don't need that anymore.
Now this area here is going to get warm because these little LEDs are little power pack units. But this area here will never get warm enough for you to worry about. I guarantee it.
Yeah, what is the suggested distance between the top of the light and your plants? Was it 18 to 20 inches? Was that?
We recommend, and this is only based on what we've been told because we are not the experts here, is anywhere from 12 to 24 inches is an optimal situation for flower. If you want to use it for veg, take it up higher. You might even cut off half of your lights for the veg stage, but that's strictly up to the grower. But
right on. I think that's up to the grower. Like with me, I'll run those suckers, but within 6 to 10 inches of that light, and I can.
Yeah, I know you're a full
not going to burn anything. Yeah, well,
there was also concern when going from coming out of these young plants, the shock of going into veg. There's usually not a week, but it might be 10 or 13, 14 days where the plant is trying to figure out what the hell are these people doing to me with these two different sources. And that's why if our lights were up slightly higher, they get used to them. Even it's a lot of money to put into young plants prior to going into grow.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be using those in my vegetative room, in my cloning room. I'm going to be using those in my flowering room just because of its natural source. It's like a light that there isn't one like this, everybody. This is all
I turned this thing on, but I'm afraid it'd burn out my camera.
You know what? If you could turn it on in the background, hold that light back up on the level. Let people see the level.
Yeah. I got to reach the switch.
Okay, look at this, everybody.
I'll point it at the camera.
The whole room lit up like wham. All right. See this, everybody? This is an LED.
I can't see my computer anymore.
Yeah, it's because it's blacking out behind the light because the
Right.
light. Right.
Get a look at this. These lights are amazing. It's not only brilliant, it's the spectrum that comes with this light that nobody has. And when I say nobody, when we say we've tested this at the, what is it, the UTL?
ETL.
ETL.
I'm sorry, the ETL. And they
Electrical
come
Testing
back and
Laboratory.
tell us what the numbers are for a 600, I call it comparable 600 watt light.
Yep.
Nobody's going to beat this. I want to see their numbers, and I just haven't seen it. That's why I said this light is disruptive, it's revolutionary.
It'll be around a long time, Rick, too. It's going to be a long, you'll get very familiar with it. It's this is big. Every time that we go into a grow, they were bitching about, I've got to change, I don't know how many bulbs. I've got to change 4 or 5, and I mark them, and that goes away completely. That goes away because a lot of times your good conscience in a grower, he doesn't want to take the chance, so he'll buy more of them that costs big money,
Right.
and they burn out just as quick.
Yeah, I look at it like this. When a grower's got to spend 2 or 3 pounds of his harvest to replace 50, 80, 100 lights,
yeah,
it's like, Jesus, Lord, I've got to grow maybe 30% of, maybe 40% of my harvest has to go to cost, overhead, maintenance, and equipment, and so forth. Where's your margin really going to go then? Because then you have your overhead, the other costs for business. Forget about the cost of operating the actual lights and the systems. Then we're talking the company expenses of insurance, employee, and all of those. It gets, your margins go down. So to be able to save, we talk about 2/3 of your power bill, but I'm gonna say that it's an overall 2/3, and maybe even a little more when you consider the air conditioner.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Equipment. So
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to being one of the ones to say, hey, everybody, my average costs were this. Now, with my new technology, the lights and my overall costs are this. And I'll be able to show that on the videos and my Rick Naya Live Rage side and the Rick Naya Show Live. I'm excited.
What they don't tell you is a 600 watt high pressure sodium bulb is actually using about 660 watts.
Yeah,
you always add about a 10% for the ballast, and that's pretty much a standard. No matter, it could be fluorescent lights, it could be 1,000 watters out in the parking lot. You need to add that extra 10%. So you're comparing something that we say 230 watts. It's actually around 220 to 224 watts against 660. So it's an easy 66% savings in electricity for the same amount of light.
You guys hear that? 66% savings in electricity with the consumption from the power of the lights that we built.
Even better with AC rejection.
And I don't want people to be fooled about other light manufacturers telling you that their LEDs are going to last 100,000 hours. The only reason I brought up 140,000 is because that's what the manufacturer told me. What they're not telling you is that at a certain time, the LEDs are going to start losing output. Every LED does. My point is because I run my LEDs at the test current, not the maximum current.
This is important.
They will last the length of time that the manufacturer says they're going to last. I read the specs on one light that Tony had sent me the link to. And they said they were bragging that they were running their LEDs at absolute maximum. And then about 4 or 5 inches down the page, it says, by the way, every 6 hours, turn the lights off for 20 minutes to increase the longevity. Now, you tell me how many of your growers, Rick, are going to go into their grow and turn their lights off for 20 minutes every 6 hours to make sure they don't prematurely burn out? Is that
nobody?
Nobody.
Unless they're going to do like me and have an advanced technology system that has sensors that will tell you right on your laptop or cell phone, it'll send you a note. Oh, listen,
I have to turn my grow off or my lights are not on.
I want you to know that I have a system, and I'm going to be You know how I am, guys. There comes a capacity in time and industry where there's a brand and a branding capacity that I bring within our arena is one to none. I'm very fortunate. I'm very blessed and pleased, and I can't wait to make further announcements that are going to benefit the four of us. That'll benefit the light industry, the growing industry, and it's going to help disrupt and revolutionize light technologies on many different businesses and arenas. I'm so excited to be able to do this and share this information that it's the gas. And a lot of my growers that are on there, they thank you. They're like, oh my God, this is brilliant. This is awesome. This is amazing. I can't believe this. Can I get a tester? I'm in the arena. You've got a lot of people saying that this is my goal. There's a lot of people that want to leave a good green footprint and know what cost savings and return of investments happen when you reduce your costs 60%. It's
The light
revel-
is the light's also not a throwaway light either.
It's not.
If
That's the
anything
other thing.
goes
It's
wrong
not a
with it,
throwaway.
it's 100% serviceable.
Forever.
See, when we design things, we don't look at it the way most engineers look at it. I've been in the service industry for a long time, electrical and electric mechanical. And some of the stuff I've had to open up simply did not have the service guy in mind. I mean, you got to have double jointed wrists and fingers and remove 100,000 things to get to one diode or something.
Yeah, or you need that $10,000 tool to do all that for you.
When we design things,
Yep.
we look at it from the service guy's point of view. And if you do it right, then the owner can service it without having to pay anything but purchase a part and then snap it in, hook a couple of wires, and he's back in business. He's down 5
That's
minutes.
by design.
Nobody can claim that other than the old ballasts that heat up everything and cost you a fortune, and replacement bulbs and heat and the possibilities of the fires and all those other things. Again,
Rick, you know how many things that growers have to deal with during the day. By having them completely forget about the lighting, it opens up. Oh my God, they can think about far more important things, knowing that there's not going to be any danger of burnt leaves or
I think it's an important thing to
constant.
know. Again, it's disruptive. Yes, Tony?
You remember the old Maytag commercials? The Maytag repairman sitting in his office, growing a beard. Well, that's Fred. He's never going to have to do any servicing, but if he does, it'll be
very simple and very effective.
Thanks for jinxing it, Tony. I really appreciate that.
Well, I think what that does, it just goes to show that the serviceability and the ineptness and professionalism and the on-site and insight as to what to do and not to do was tested in those 5 years. I believe wholeheartedly, and I am in a very much appreciation to be your brand ambassador and partner friends with you guys at Clearlight Technologies. I can assure you that when we do a kickoff, we'll have to call it a grand opening.
Yep.
That when we're able to go online and use our promo codes here in the next couple of months and our facilities are built out, I'd like to come by and do a show there, do a live walkthrough during construction. I want the fans in the nation and the world to see that, hey, we're not only disrupt America, we're disrupting and revolutionizing America with lighting.
Yeah.
Lighting, there's 5 things in cannabis that you have to make cannabis grow. But it's not just for cannabis, it's life. And that is our is light, sun, power, energy that provides sun and light. So without lighting, where would we be? And how effectively we do that and how green we do that is what is going to gather a response that's active. The kids out here nowadays, they're not like we were. What could give a shit about how much power I was using and how many watts it cost me? I didn't really care. We didn't care about those things. Well, now being green and leaving a good footprint and being a role model for my arena and for the growers and cultivars that are out there, it's going to set a tempo. And I'm going to have a big following with our lights, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with everybody. I've got about 10 minutes left in the show. If there's anything either one of you guys would like to share with the fans, please go ahead and feel free to do so.
One of the things that we've always wanted to do is make it more cost effective for people to use solar and wind power to help defray the cost of grid power. And the only way to do that is to save electricity. And this light will let you put solar panels on the roof of your building and actually get some benefit out of them instead of them being swallowed up by half a dozen of your lights.
Yeah. And
that might have to be part of our next show and talk about how we're going to team up with another company that I work with and see if we can't get solar onto some of these smaller or mid-sized grow operations to get them on that verge of a greener footprint and more cost savings, Fred. I think that's the next step.
I wanted to add one additional thing. That I'm always the one that's nervous. We have had to deal with this Corona, COVID-19, all this crap that's going on, and that alone, it's miraculous that we've been able to keep our manufacturing and keep our production going for parts. But now what we're going to do it's going to be like a transposition from this place where we are now to probably in less than a week. While with the minimal of we first of all, Brooks Properties, these guys are great. They help us with every aspect of, and I've been with them. I've been with the son, but I was with their father. I must have been really young back then, but we've been with Brooks for a whole long time. We've always been in their commercial property.
American made. That's what these lights
American made. And when we mentioned to Eric Brooks that this is all blowing up, he says, "How can I help you? How can I help you?" He says, "I got a building over there. It's building 4. It's got your name all over it."
Well, it does now. I got a spray paint can.
Well, I think you're going to have to get a couple of spray paint cases to get it all painted up. But in itself, I'm really glad to see that, in the last 5 years and in the last several months, knowing me and the advancements that are occurring with the production and getting ready to release the Naya Pro Grow Series lights. I cannot wait to get.
I know.
It's one of the
people have an anxiety attack.
How much are they? Go online. You guys can find out. It's $7.99 a light. They last for 13 to 16 years on full blast. Nobody can match what it says on our ETL spectrums. And if you have any questions that you want to have answered, either reach out to me, reach out to Clearlight Technology. It's clearlighttechno.com. Clearlighttechno.com.
If they want to email questions, they can email to info@clearlighttechno.com.
Info@clearlighttechno.com.
Brian, can we give the other the other address too?
The other address is to streamline the operation and getting us ready for when we're doing the handshake. That would be in lowercase Clearlight Technology Grow Light. Singular or plural?
It's just Clearlight Grow Lights.
It's Clearlight Grow Light.
It's Clearlight Grow Light.
Growlight.com. Yeah, we actually have 2 websites right now.
And that
the one that we want to send people to now is clearlightgrowlight.com.
They can visit either one, but if they want information, it's info@clearlighttechno.com.
Right. It's not Clear Light, it's Clear Lights, or it's Grow Lights. There's an S on the end.
Okay, plurals. I think that's shining across the bottom of our stream anyway. I had asked to have
the most important thing though, and I know that you have expressed this. I want to make sure that we don't create anxiety. I want potential people that would like our lights not to be overly aggressive in getting them. That if they have the patience to be with us through this production, we will definitely make it. We'll do something for them We're
not going to slap these things together and sacrifice the quality. They have to go out right for me.
No.
If I don't like them, they're not leaving.
Well,
they have to be quality.
Really interesting to know that I want everybody to know that this product is made by veterans. They're made 100% U.S. manufactured and distributed from right here out of New Hampshire. And I want to share something else. I don't know if everybody knows this, but there's a book. It's called the Book of Firsts. People that do things first. There are more people from New Hampshire in the Book of First than any other.
Is that right?
So here we
Wow.
go. Another form of disruptive revolutionary technologies advancing from New Hampshire. And I'm
Wow.
extremely proud to know that Clear Light Technologies, American Machine Vision, that we're on the move. And I truly can't wait to set up my 90 lights and or the different opportunities that are coming my way and walk people through why we're doing this and why it's revolutionary and disruptive. I'm so excited about it. Gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for coming on the Rick Naya show with me this week. It really meant a lot to me to have the three of you on at once. Again, if there's anything else you want to leave behind with our guests, please do it now.
Well, we're going to make sure that you are updated regularly, so you'll be able to keep Naya Nation up to date. And when we're ready to turn it on, we're going to have a party on your web show, and we're going to just set it right off.
All right, that sounds great. And what we'll do when we do the kickoff, maybe we can bring the Rick Naya show down there that Thursday evening and do a live walkthrough session of the facility and some of the,
Oh, that'd be wonderful. That'd be
people get a
wonderful.
look at the integral side of this light technology that we're talking about and the advancements in disrupting and revolution. I use those
Can I
words.
wear my sunglasses?
I'm next. I'm next. I'm definitely next. But I love you.
You started that.
Well, that's me. People that know me. I mean,
Where's those glasses?
Yeah, they're right
Ah!
it's the Rick Naya show, and that's what it's at. But I think what's cool to know is that people recognize that when I step up in the arena and I support somebody or part of their business, is to bridge them into a community that is held to the highest standards of business practices and common sense policy or non-misinformation. We like to give accurate information, truthful information with science and data supporting it.
Absolutely.
So that
Absolutely.
we aren't the people that we were perceived to have been the Cheech and Chong. Hey man, yeah, I got long hair. Yeah, I wear some groovy beads. But I can more than likely assure you that 95 or 98% of the time, I consume most of them due to their own ignorance and not listening. So listen, share the love, and be ready, everybody, because the Rick Naya show, Rick Naya, American Machine Vision, Clear Light Technologies is about to revolutionize the way large scale and home growers change the footprint of cannabis growing. And I'm so proud to be part of that. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
You got one here?
You got anything else? Yeah, go ahead.
Man, put it right there.
Oh, we got it.
Bump.
Right on.
Boom.
Fist bumps. I'm down with the fist bumps.
I'm looking forward, Rick, to making a sticker that's got this on it and making it grow off of your making it happen.
Right
and
on.
Everybody's going to know that you're endorsing our light.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I want to see the Rick Naya approval sticker. That's what when you see this one, that little green that says Rick Naya, the great grandpa, share the love. If you see that on an item in the cannabis arena here in the upcoming years, it's because they met the rigors of probably not only state rigor, because I help write law, rule, bill, and accountability to those commissioners and elected officials. But if you make it on our show, it's because you're disrupting and revolutionizing and helping our arena to move forward with the acceptance of all other arenas and businesses.
Absolutely.
It's exciting.
We deserve that, and I'm proud to be one of the legs of the table that brought our arena to where it's at and where it's coming. I want to give thanks to NECAN. I want to thank the people at MassCan Normal. Those two institutions are embodiments of the movements that we have up here in New England. And I'm proud to be on the Brain Trust. I'm proud to be able to speak with their boards and have them contact me and consult me and work together in unison to bring that common sense policy to all people. And I want to take a moment and I want to thank all the first responders, the nurses, the restaurateurs, the shop owners and the store owners, and those of you who basically you've sacrificed of yourself to keep us fed, to keep us moving and alive in some of the most strenuous times of our nation. And for that, we must give credence where it's due. And above all things, at this time and juncture in our lives, that we're dealing with this pandemic and crisis, and the George Floyd, and that blacks matter, lives matter, but black people truly matter. And it's not any other message about every life matters if life matter. Enough of that tomfoolery. We already know what we're talking about. We shouldn't shuttle this around any longer. I, for one, you can check my photos, my background, anybody that knows me. And whenever I see anybody of colored descent or African or Asian or Spanish or brown or black, I always make a point to go straight to them and welcome them to our arena and welcome them to the event. They look at me like, who the hell are you, guy? I'm Rick Naya. I'm the great grandfather of hybrid cannabis. Thank you very much for coming. Because of people like you and me, we have this. So hold your head up high. Don't let it take you down. Take the high route. And I know that the message has to be made, and these people are making a big message with these riots. But please, if you're going to riot, let's do it peacefully. I think we get a lot more than we get with sugar than we do with sour oranges.
Absolutely.
And it leaves a bad taste in your mouth later when you're trying to do the right things. So for those of us, like here in New Hampshire with the rallies, no violence. We didn't have any.
No.
It was amazing. Many states, there hasn't been any of the violence. And for those of you that are experiencing the violence, please, above all things, step back and consider, if that was me, and if those were my ancestors and I had to be endured this type of life, what would I do? So take a good look at society, humanity. Let's see how we can make those changes. And let's do it like we're doing here at Clear Light Technology, and revolutionizing and disrupting an industry and an arena to help bring common sense policies and common sense information and data, no misinformation, and move forward in the cannabis arena. And again, no pun at the highest levels we can. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with me. I really appreciate your opportunities to be shared with me, and I look forward to so many more to be shared with not only you, but all of my fans and all of those people in social media within the cannabis arena. Thank you very much for being with me.
Thanks,
Night,
Rick.
Rick.
We thank you for the opportunity to do this. This is really wonderful. It's
Well, I
really
can't
wonderful.
wait to do it at your new facility, at the new production facility, and hopefully Tony can fly up and we can do a live.
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll do that. That'll be big. It'll be big.
I'm looking.
You'll be the man. You'll be there.
I'll be there, and I'll do as I do as a brand ambassador for our company. And I will also, if we're going to do a kickoff event or whatever, I'll bring a live band and we'll do a barbecue. We'll have people come and just friends and families and industry leaders from within the industry and share the new revolution. And that's inviting in the cannabis.
I was gonna wear a tuxedo. Now you turned it into a barbecue.
Okay, we can do that. We can do red carpet. We could do a red carpet, and we can do escargot and foie gras. We can do it all.
I'm sure we can find some D-list celebrities to show up.
No, in our arena, I have to say, in my arena, in our arena, the cannabis arena, it's some of the best people in the globe.
Mhm.
Some of the brightest, most advanced intellectuals, design built, some of the most fascinating people that you will ever meet on this planet are within the cannabis arena.
I believe that. I believe that. This is great, man.
Yes, it is.
Really good.
Thanks.
Gentlemen, looking forward to it. We'll schedule up an appointment here when we kick off the new one, and we'll have another show live at the new facilities. From me to you and everybody out in the social media world, thank you, everybody. Much love from the Rick Naya Show. Until next week, please be safe. Right on.
Right on.
Thank you.